everyone, Christina here. Welcome to day 15 of the holiday card series. Today I have a really fun card for you that has a cutout window in the front with acetate and a greeting on top. It comes together like I had an idea in my mind and it kind of morphed a little bit as it went along. You'll hear about that as I go along in the video, but it really turned out to be one of my favorite cards this year. I'm not entirely sure why. It's really, really simple, but I do love a really good buffalo plaid. So here we go. There are two main products on this card for today. There's the Hello Sweater Weather die set from Simon and the Buffalo Check pattern background stamp from Hero Arts. I love a good buffalo plaid, and when I saw this stamp set, I thought, or the stamp background, I should say, it needs to be stamped on red cardstock. So that's what I'm going to do for this card. I'm prepping my Misty to use a cling background stamp by removing the foam pad inside and then placing that background stamp and picking it up with the door of my Misty. I'm then going to bring over my cardstock. This is some Schoolhouse Red cardstock from Simon, and this was actually a scrap of leftover cardstock that was already cut to 6 inches tall by 4 3/4 wide. And it worked out great that it's a little bit oversized for my finished card size. My card will actually be an A2 card, so it will be 4 1/4 wide by 5 1/2 tall. So it's smaller than my red cardstock is at this moment when I'm stamping it. And that worked out really well because even though I pressed it down and used my fingers on every single bit of that stamp, it didn't get the edges next to the corner. And that's just, the nature of trying to get that pattern all the way to the corner. So I trimmed it down and I didn't have any problems once I trimmed it down. So I'm taking my Hello Sweater Weather die and placing it on the front of the card panel where I want it to be. And then I put that outer die right there. I'm going to tape the outer die in place while I die cut. And I did that so I could get the positioning just right. Now I'm going to be cutting a window out of the front of my card, and I'm going to have acetate like behind the window, and I want it to be hidden. I don't want the acetate edges to show. So I'm going to put the front of my card on top of a white card base and have the acetate sandwiched in between. And because I want the die cut area on the front to match up with the die cut area on the card base, I'm cutting them together. So I taped my red panel to my white card base, and I'm running it through my die cutting machine with a piece of paper right below just to protect the inside of the card from any scratches and marks on my cutting plates. So I've die cut it once, and it cut through the red cardstock perfectly, but it didn't cut through the white cardstock completely just because it's really thick cardstock. I've got 100-pound red cardstock and then 110-pound white cardstock. It's just a lot to cut through. So I'm going to remove the red cardstock from my card base just by peeling off that tape. This is some Easy C tape. And then I'm going to take that die. I'm going to remove the red cut from the middle and then kind of puzzle piece my die right back in place. It's going to fall right back in the right spot. And then I can run it through my die cutting machine a second time, and it's going to finish cutting that window out of the card base. Now, some of the black ink from the checked pattern transferred to the die, so I've got a little bit of it on my white card base, but it's not a problem because it will be completely covered up in the end. So here's my card base. I'm going to put some acetate right over the top. Like I mentioned before, I want it sandwiched between the white card base and the red card front. So I've cut down some acetate from Simon Says Stamp, and I'm adhering the acetate to the front of the card using some precision glue from Honeybee. Just putting that glue around the outer edge. And when I place my acetate down, a little bit of glue will squidge out from underneath that very itty bitty section at the top. It's not a huge deal because this glue dries clear. But if I was to use my fingertip and kind of smudge the glue, it does give it a little bit of a different matte finish on the acetate. So try to not do that. Just leave it on its own and let it dry and it'll be great. So I'm adhering my red stamped panel now. I'm using some Tombow Extreme adhesive.
This is just a tape runner adhesive, and it's great for putting your cards together. And I'll place my red stamped card front onto my card. But before I do that, I'm just going to add a little bit of liquid glue around the edges just to make sure it adheres right up next to that edge. And then I placed it right on top. And I cut out the part where you saw me kind of wiggling it around trying to get in the right spot because my head was in the way. But believe me, I took my time. I didn't rush it, and it lined up perfectly. For the inside of the card, I found this piece of pattern paper in my stash. It's actually from Wildson from 2017. It's the Knit Picky collection, and this is the winter shawl design. And I'm going to put that on the inside of the card so that you can see a little bit of a pattern behind my greeting, once I have the greeting on there, that is. So I'm using that same tape runner to adhere the pattern paper on the inside of the card. And it's just going to give a little tiny difference of color behind that window, but still very neutral. So it's not going to be too flashy. It's going to be perfect for this. So then I took the word die from that set and I cut it out using some white cardstock. And I was very careful when I removed the die cut from the die using a craft pick. And because I just didn't want it to kind of get bent or folded or, have any weird edges. I want it to be absolutely perfect so that it would fit inside that window. So I'm just placing on top, and I love this look. It makes it look like the greeting is floating. It's a really neat effect. So to glue that on, I'm using some tweezers from Altenew. I'm going to just hold my die cut with the tweezers and then apply that same honeybee precision glue. I'm adding very, very small dots. I don't want too big of blobs of glue because I don't want it to kind of squidge out from underneath the die. And in fact, just to make sure I don't have any glue kind of coming out from underneath, I'm going to pounce this die cut on top of some white cardstock just to take off any excess glue. And then I will place it directly in the center of this window. And I was very, very careful, tried to get it lined up just right because I didn't have very much glue on the die cut. So I knew I couldn't wiggle it around very much. So I pressed that down. And this card, you could leave it like this. It looks like it could be pretty good just like this. That floating greeting in the window looks really neat. But I decided it looked pretty plain. Now, this was all that I'd planned to do, but I decided I would add a few other little details to help the card feel a little bit finished. So I grabbed my nested hearts die set from Simon. I grabbed the second to smallest die, and I cut out a black heart out of some pitch black cardstock from Hero Arts. I popped that up on a little bit of foam tape and then coated the heart in black diamond stickles. This is a glitter glue. It's going to give a lot of shimmer and that sparkle to my heart. It was a little bumpy when I looked at it, so I decided to take that black cardstock that I'd cut the heart out of, and I just used the edge of the cardstock to sort of smooth out that glitter. You could also just use black glitter paper when you die cut the heart, but I kind of wasn't thinking that far ahead. So I just smoothed out that black glitter a little bit. And then I decided that, it needs a pop of white. I wasn't sure what to do. And then I thought, hello, my old standby, my white dash lines. And you know what? It goes right along with that sort of sweater sewing clothing theme that the card has. I think it looks really great and it goes along with that. And just that pop of white with the dash line really finishes off the card. So there is my day 15 card with a floating greeting, and we're all done.
I hope you guys enjoyed today's card. It was day 15. We're just speeding right along. I can't believe we're already at day 15. I really love black and red check, like buffalo check. Can you see that? Let's see, which side is it on? This side, under the tree skirt. That's exactly what the front of the card was today. It's one of my favorite kind of patterns or plaid patterns for the holiday season or year round, really. And this is one of those cards that I think you could recreate with different color palettes really easily, minus the die cutting. I think I might just pop up the greeting off the top, off the front of the card instead of die cutting it if I was making multiples. But this was just a one-off card, so I felt totally good with just cutting it out and making it a super special card. Today's holiday question is all about candy canes. Some people are big fans of the candy canes. Some people are only fans of the visuals of the candy canes. You don't want to eat them, you just want to look at them. Let me know how you feel about candy canes. I like traditional peppermint candy canes, but I also like the ones that are multicolored that kind of have like I don't even know what the flavor is. It's almost like a blue raspberry flavor. I'm not entirely sure, but I really like those ones. And do you like the big candy canes, like you put them on a tree? Or do you like the ones that come in like a big clear chain and you have to cut them apart and they're individually wrapped? Let me know your feelings on candy canes. And for that matter, do you make peppermint bark? I think peppermint bark's pretty good. And part of making that is crushing up a bunch of candy canes. Although you can buy them already crushed. But that's half the fun. Get out your holiday frustrations, crushing all those candy canes. Thanks so much for watching today. I'll be back on Monday with day 16 of the holiday card series.